So I'm in the middle of my weekly planning session where I really start to think about the week ahead. I like to visualize where I want my accounts to be at the end of the week. Um, I usually put down a number of how much I'd like to make this week and then work to go after that as we go through the week. And the way I do that is, first of all, by getting clear on the different areas which I think are most important to consider as I interact with the markets and think about what moves to make. And so what I typically do on Sunday is I'll write 3 or 4 different themes that are important to me as I interact with the markets, and they're really all based on my macro narrative, which I've talked about many times here. And so what I thought I'd do today is just share some thoughts on really 4 different areas that I'm focused on and looking to possibly transact in one way or the other with one of these 4 areas. And in no particular order, I'll just go through them. But we can start with what I think is the most important factor from my position. This isn't everyone's, but from my position and the way I see things, the most important thing that's being played out right now is in the private credit market. Now, I know that this doesn't have all the drama and bluster of what's going on in Iran and something is going on in AI, but typically when you see news of any type of market, especially in the credit space, where they are halting withdrawals from funds that invest in private credit, and this could be, this is analogous to back in the day when you had cracks in the mortgage market, or you had cracks in the tech market, or you had cracks in the currency markets. Once you start to see these cracks, and I've never seen in my entire 35 career that when you have an announcement like what we're seeing right now in the private credit markets, and by the way, real quick, what's happened is that this started in December and then it's trickled down. It started in December with a company called Blue Owl, who's one of the largest managers of private credit out there. Our family has some exposure to Blue Owl. So I am very familiar with the situation. I had a conference call with someone on it last week. But Blue Owl basically said that they are halting redemptions, that you can't get your money out. Big red flag. And then just weeks after that, you saw Blackstone say the same thing. And then BlackRock came out last week and literally took a portfolio that they had marked at fully valued 3 weeks ago. Last week, they marked it down to 0, which if anyone knows what that's signifying, it's not good. And so I think that what we're seeing some cracks underneath in the market that's one of the most it's one of the biggest tells right now in the market in the way I see the world. And this is confirmed by the way that the financials have been acting. So the financials are now, from a technical basis, are under their 200-day moving average, which really shows that this has been a decline that's been going on for some time. So the financials, the banks and those types of instruments, the bank instruments, have been really suffering, and that's what's possibly being told to us by the private credit market. So I'm very interested in that as a macro tell and whether or not we're getting ready to roll over hard in both the economy and in the stock market. And this is going to affect a lot of different areas, including tech. So we want to keep a very close eye on that and make sure that anything that we do right now takes that into account, because it could get really weird really quick. The second thing that we're looking at here is obviously what's going on in Iran. I still continue to believe this is part of the reorganizing of the world order to 3 new profit centers, which I've talked about ad nauseum. So you can see that. But there's really, right now, the only play, it just plays right into the themes that we've been investing in, which is energy and metals and materials. And so from what I can tell right now, oil, this is a Sunday afternoon, oil closed at 92 on Friday. Right now, it looks like on Hyperliquid, it's trading at 115. That is a big, big move. And so for the energy space, which we've been most aligned with, we had an incredible trade with VLO. I don't know if people had that. Also with Exxon, we've had some really incredible trades there. I've got more that I'm looking at to deploy tomorrow morning. So we'll be talking to folks in the Discord about that. So what's going on over there in Iran's got a lot to play out. So we'll continue to watch that. But we are making plays in that space, and I think there's a long way to go in the energy sector. AI is the next sort of topic or area where I'm focused on, because it still continues to surgically destroy industries. I've been talking a lot about that over the weekend. I've had guests in who are in the medical field, and they're seeing a big disruption there. So that's interesting. But AI is part of, I believe, this whole credit problem that I talked about in the beginning, the private credit problem. So who knows what's going to happen here? It remains to be an enormous wild card. I'm not trying to predict anything. I'm just trying to react to what I see. And what I see right now is like AI is going to be, I believe, much more impactful on the investment side than people can realize, and how that plays out is where I'm completely focused. So stay tuned for a lot more on that, as AI's tentacles move throughout our entire lives, and especially our investing lives. And the last thing is crypto. I'm super bearish on crypto right now. I spent some time last hour going through crypto like influencers on the TikToks of the world, and I just maintain a just sort of a blown awayness at the irresponsibility that I see that how people speak in this space, especially the influencers. I remain, until something proves different. As many of you know, I'm a long-term Bitcoin bull and love Bitcoin, but I am quite bearish at this moment, and which pains me to say that, but I don't have a position. I don't have price exposure, I should say, right now to anything in the crypto sphere. But I am keeping a close eye on that, as I believe that there will be a washout that will give us generational opportunities, most possibly. And the last thing I'm going to talk about is how I am reorienting. I've been talking about it on the Discord, how I believe that the world is going to require a much more short-term approach. I know that goes against everything that people hear and they've ever heard about investing in the markets. But I don't care. I mean, what I see is that we've got a big time compression event going on right now, where there is moves that are happening that would take years to happen are now taking weeks or days. And so I am looking to exploit this new regime. I've been working hard in the Discord to develop, we've had some incredible people come in the Discord who are just masters at short-term trading. So I look forward to sharing more of that with folks as I alter my trading and my investing process, because I believe everyone is going to need to update their trading and investing process in the years to come. But most will just sit with old tropes that have been around forever. So anyway, I am going to be much more short-term oriented in the months and years to come, and I look forward to sharing that with folks in the Discord. So that's about it. I am going to end this here because this is really long. If you stayed, thank you. But we'll have a great week. I'm looking forward to it. I'll be in New York the latter half of the week for a couple of different reasons, but I'll be on streaming live all the New York market hours this coming week. And I can't wait to see you in there. And if you're not there, I'd love for you to join us.